The
Mom
first-class
said
cabin of
lonely
Flight
people need
447
friends.
to Chicago hummed with the quiet efficiency of holiday travel. Outside the small windows, the tarmac at Lax glistened under late afternoon sun. The California December, deceptively warm compared to the winter waiting at their destination. Marcus Reed settled into seat 12A, with the practiced ease of someone who flew first class regularly. At 38, he was the CEO of Reed Technologies, a software company he'd built from a garage, startup into a billion-dollar enterprise in just 12 years. His charcoal suit was perfectly tailored, his dark hair impeccably styled, and the gold watch on his wrist was the kind that didn't need to announce its value. Those who knew, knew. He loosened his tie slightly and accepted a glass of red wine from the flight attendant with a polite nod. This was his element, the quiet comfort of first class, the buffer between himself and the chaos of the world, the space where he could work uninterrupted or simply think. Marcus had a reputation in the business world. Brilliant, driven, somewhat ruthless when necessary. He didn't suffer fools, didn't waste time on sentiment, and certainly didn't apologize for his success. He'd worked too hard for it, sacrificed too much. While his college friends had been enjoying their 20s, Marcus had been coding 18-hour days and living on ramen. While they'd been getting married and starting families, he'd been building a company. Now, at 38, he had everything he'd worked for. Money, success, respect, influence. He had a penthouse in San Francisco, a beach house in Malibu, and invitations to events most people only read about. What he didn't have, what he'd specifically avoided having, was the complication of relationships, the burden of emotional attachments, the vulnerability that came with letting people matter. It was Christmas Eve, and Marcus was flying to Chicago for a board meeting. Not to visit family. His parents had passed away years ago, and he had no siblings. Not for holiday celebrations. He didn't particularly celebrate holidays. Just business, as always. The meeting was technically scheduled for the day after Christmas, but Marcus wanted to arrive early. Review documents, be prepared. The cabin was filling up with other passengers now. A businessman across the aisle, already on his phone despite the pre-flight rules. A couple in their 60s, a few rows back, holding hands and looking excited. And then, Marcus heard them before he saw them. "Just hold Mr. Penguin carefully, sweetheart. We don't want him to get lost." "I know, Mama. I'm being very gentle." A young woman made her way down the aisle, and walking beside her, barely tall enough to see over the armrests, was a small boy. The child was perhaps 4 or 5 years old, wearing a bright red winter coat with snowflake patterns, jeans, and a striped knit cap with a pom-pom. In his arms, he clutched a stuffed penguin with obvious affection. The woman was maybe 30, with blonde hair pulled into a loose ponytail and wearing an olive jacket over a simple beige dress. She carried a worn canvas bag and had the tired, but determined look of a parent traveling, alone with a young child. They stopped at row 12, and Marcus felt his jaw tighten as he realized what was about to happen. "Excuse me," the woman said apologetically. "I think we're in 12B and C." Marcus glanced at his boarding pass to confirm what he already knew. Seat 12A was his, the window. Seats 12B and 12C, the middle and aisle seats, were theirs. Of course they were. "Of course," Marcus said coolly, standing to let them pass. The etiquette of air travel demanded it, though he felt a flash of irritation. His peaceful, quiet flight was about to become significantly less peaceful. The woman helped the boy into the middle seat, 12B, right next to Marcus. She took the aisle seat herself, immediately beginning the process of settling a child for a flight, removing the coat, finding the seatbelt, producing a small backpack of activities and snacks. Marcus returned to his seat and his wine, pointedly returning his attention to his phone. He had emails to answer, contracts to review. The presence of a child next to him was irrelevant. He would simply ignore it. "Mr. Penguin wants the window seat," the boy announced, his voice clear and certain. "Mr. Penguin will have to share your seat, Danny," his mother said gently. "The window seat belongs to this gentleman." "Oh." The boy, Danny, turned to look at Marcus for the first time. His eyes were bright blue and curious, his round face still holding that softness of early childhood. "Hello, I'm Danny. This is Mr. Penguin. What's your name?" Marcus glanced at the child briefly. "Marcus. That's a nice name. Are you going to Chicago too?" "Yes." We're going to see Grandma. She's sick, so we're going to make her feel better. Mama says when people are sick, visits make them happy. Danny, let the man work, his mother interjected gently. I'm so sorry, she added to Marcus. He's very social. It's fine, Marcus said, though his tone suggested otherwise. He turned back to his phone, hoping the child would take the hint. The flight attendants began their safety demonstration. The plane taxied toward the runway. Marcus stared out the window, watching Los Angeles fall away beneath them as they climbed into the evening sky. For about 15 minutes, there was peace. Danny colored in a coloring book his mother had given him. The scratch of crayon on paper, a quiet, almost soothing sound. Marcus worked through his emails, responded to messages from his assistant, reviewed a contract. Then Danny spoke again. Are you lonely? Marcus's fingers paused over his phone. He looked at the child, startled. What? Danny was looking at him with that disconcerting directness that children have before they learn to moderate their observations. Are you lonely? You're sitting by yourself and you look sad. Mama says lonely people need friends. The woman, Danny's mother, made a small sound of embarrassment. Danny, that's not... I'm so sorry. He doesn't mean to be intrusive. I'm not lonely, Marcus said, more sharply than he intended. I'm working. Oh, Danny considered this. But it's Christmas Eve. Mama says Christmas. Eve is for being with people you love, not for working. Your mama is right for some people, Marcus said, trying to keep his voice even. But I have important work to do. More important than Christmas? It was such a simple question, asked with such genuine curiosity that Marcus didn't have an immediate answer. Was his work more important than Christmas? He'd never really thought about it in those terms. Christmas was just another day to him, another square on the calendar. His work was his life, his purpose, the thing that defined him. My work is very important, Marcus said finally. A lot of people depend on me. Danny nodded seriously, as if this made sense. Then he held up his stuffed penguin. This is Mr. Penguin. He's my best friend. Do you have a best friend? I have colleagues. What's colleagues? People I work with. But are they your friends? Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. Were they his friends? He had business associates, certainly. People he respected professionally. People he had lunch meetings with and exchanged polite greetings with at conferences. But friends? People he called just to talk. People who knew what he thought about beyond work. People who cared about him rather than what he could do for them. It's complicated, Marcus said. The default answer when you don't want to admit the truth. Mama says complicated just means something is hard but not impossible. Danny swung his legs. They didn't reach the floor. I think you need a friend. Maybe Mr. Penguin could be your friend too. He's very good at it. Before Marcus could respond, Danny's mother leaned across her son. Danny, please stop bothering Mr. Marcus. He's made it clear he wants to work. She gave Marcus an apologetic smile. I'm sorry. He's usually good on flights, but he's extra chatty when he's excited. It's his first time flying to see his grandmother. It's fine, Marcus said automatically, though he wasn't entirely sure it was. He felt unsettled. This child, with his innocent questions and his stuffed penguin, had somehow managed to poke at something Marcus had carefully walled off years ago. The flight attendant came by with dinner service. Marcus ordered the chicken, barely tasting it as he ate, his mind elsewhere. Danny chattered to his mother about the airplane food, declaring everything amazing with the enthusiasm of a child, for whom air travel was still magical. After dinner, the cabin lights dimmed. Most passengers settled in to rest or watch movies. Danny's mother pulled out an iPad with headphones, getting her son set up with what was clearly a familiar routine. One movie, she told him. Then you need to try to sleep. Okay, Mama. Danny started watching something animated involving talking animals. The woman leaned back in her seat, and Marcus noticed the exhaustion on her face, the dark circles under her eyes, the way her shoulders slumped as if she'd been holding them tense for too long. Long day? Marcus found himself asking, surprising himself. She looked over, equally surprised that he'd initiated conversation. Long year, actually. She smiled, but it was sad around the edges. Sorry again about Danny. He really is a good kid. He worries about people. He sees someone sitting alone and assumes they must be lonely. And is that what you told him? That lonely people need friends? She had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. Among other things, His father and I divorced last year.